I'm about to do 50 crunches and 50 push-ups. I'm 7 weeks, 4 days postpartum. I just had a baby on February 19th, Weston Mateo. What Mateo means gift from God. And I have 3 other children. Alexis, 17, 15, and 10. So I am not trying to lift weights. For anyone who's been a part of my experience, I am a weightlifter. That's my favorite form of fitness, but I'm not trying to restart weightlifting right now. I want to breastfeed and stay like, not fat, but fluffy, soft until Weston is at least a year old, just because I don't want to increase my testosterone, and weightlifting is 100% a testosterone increaser. I'm still taking prenatal vitamins, and I will as long as I'm nursing the baby and pumping breast milk when he's not here. And so that's my main focus, is doing what I need to do to keep the breast milk as healthy as possible. So I went to the outdoor gym like 6 or 7 times, and I started pumping iron, like, and I felt myself like, this is not going to be good for my breast milk. I could feel my energy starting to change, and like my vibe just getting more masculine, and like I didn't like it. So I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm walking, of course, every single time I go to see the baby. We do about 5 miles round trip, and yeah, I'm just going to incorporate just girl push-ups, which you guys know that I did before this, and some sit-ups. But I've been a very heavy weightlifter in the past, like prepping to compete weightlifting. So maybe in the future, but just not right now. The topic for today's live is the influencer culture, and why many people get into social media, stay in social media, get off of social media, get back on social media, etc., and so forth. And there are lots of different stories for lots of different people. And I don't think that people understand, and I think it should be more commonly understood, what goes on in social media culture. The goods, the bads, the uglies, the beautifuls, the ups and downs, etc., and so forth. So I'm just having another think tank dialogue for my community, which is a community of mostly influencers and content creators, or aspiring to be that. And then my friends and family, of course, as well, and some police officers who have been monitoring all of the injustices that social media has been a part of in my life over the last 4+ years, maybe 10 years. So I started recording myself and posting for money. That was why I started my career as an influencer social media person. And that was my main purpose. I stopped really posting a lot of things about my children, because the niche that I was involved in from 2015, 16, about 2016 to about 2017 and a half, 18, was camming. And then around 2018, there was another site that was released, and I try not to get into too much promotion for these sites, because it really did me a lot of harm psychologically, being a part of these things. But one of the sites that I transferred to was more focused on sales of pre-made content or custom content. So I started shying away from live camming, and I was doing things like selling my outfits and my wardrobe, and selling my inside of my house, or my studio as I called it. I had my behind the scenes content and think tank type content that I was selling and engaging in for free on various platforms. And then I had my more professional edited campaigning content that I would sell, and all of it was adult themed in nature, so I didn't really post my children a lot. Well, on Facebook, I had posted nothing but my children from the moments they were born all the way till 2016. In doing so, it was I started getting so much hatred and animosity and abuse from random people, strangers, who would literally like stalk me to go into my real like identity, who I was as a mother, as a person, as a woman. So when I would perform, I would use an alias, the same alias that I've used as an artist, the same alias that I've used as a ghostwriter, the same alias that I've used as a content creator when I want to be anonymous. Maybe I'm speaking about controversial things or photographing about controversial subjects, and there's nothing illegal or unlawful about them. But when you share your opinion, you also share opposing people's opinions of wanting to shut you down and, you know, argue with you or make you regret ever having an opinion to begin with. But there are lots of reasons that I used an alias in those days, and I didn't want to get rid of my alias. So when I stopped that whole cam lifestyle, and I began to evolve my content into more mainstream influencer type content, product reviews, you know, mostly product reviews and art. And I use as the example all the time, I would find like campaigns of other artists and models and musicians and rappers, and I would take them as my inspiration and change them and kind of duplicate them in like a mashup with what was going on in society. And I couldn't find a way to keep my real personal life, you know, not private, because I have a large fan base for the parenting, the momming, the and not just fans, friends, you know, people I've gone to school with and family members. So I wanted to keep being a mom, you know, socially, including my children in conversation, and it makes them feel included in my life as well. You know, it's very important to my family that we're together and that we are on the same page with things. But I also wanted to be able to create and continue to create my art. So that's where GoPro Solo comes from. So I have One Heather G is like my mainstream mom and business account. A GoPro Solo production is my company GoPro Solo, my brand GoPro Solo, that does artistic creations that are sometimes more controversial. So I separate them now. So that was the disconnect that I had in social media. And I don't think a lot of people anticipated that it would be a problem before it actually was. So I know there are a lot of people who started in these niche of cam girl or cam guy or live performer person and realized, oh my God, I did this when I was 18 to 22. Now I'm 35 or 33 or whatever these people are. For me, I'm, you know, I'm older now, and I did it at the same thing in my 20s. And it's like, well, I don't mind it being up there, but I want to keep it separated from my mainstream account. Well, what ended up happening for me was people started, my family always knows, you know, I never kept it secret. People started stealing content that I would produce and, you know, sell or post to my GoPro Solo accounts. And they would literally find and stalk my family members and start exploiting them and saying, we have a photo of your daughter, your mother, your sister, your wife, your whatever relationship they were going after sabotaging that day. And they would send them a photo of like this content I did when I was 23 or 25 years old. You know, I wasn't 23 when I started. I was very innocent at 23. I had my college years from, as I call them, from 27 to 29 when I was a single mom, you know, selling content to make a living. And they would be reposting this content and tagging my mainstream accounts. Like, what is wrong with you people? Why would that make you happy to do? Started going on my lives to kind of explain what was happening. Which is something that you have to continue to do. If you are an artist who's going to evolve your name, you're not going to retire it, you're going to evolve it, you have to continue to, you know, bring truth to your situation and your image. If you don't, it's impossible. I mean, it's just impossible. It's like dodging bullets. You have to be truthful and transparent about where you started if you continue using your same identity as a performer and as an artist. So I myself personally never ever wanted them separate. But because of that exploitation, because of that abuse that not only myself, but my friends and family members started encountering just for knowing me. You know how your friends lists are public and you can click, oh, who is she friends with? And then you click and you start going through and contacting other people. You know how Neve does things in Catfish? Like Neve and Max, they like find people, you know, and they are right. They started out anyways as like regular guys, just like with this show idea. Well, any one of us can do that. Like, it's not hard. You can run a credit background check. You can run a criminal background check. There are sites like and apps like Ben Verified and all these other things, and you can literally find out where people live. So as an influencer, and I know I'm not the only one, things started to get really scary for a while. And I didn't really have the budget to hire security to be with me 24/7. So as that started happening, along with other things in my house, someone tried to break into my home when I was home alone with my children on Thanksgiving Day. I called law enforcement and they didn't even like dust for fingerprints or anything. They were just like telling me that I was overreacting. I moved and got a new apartment. Several people started breaking in there, stealing like food out of my fridge, stealing my clothing, taking photos of themselves in my apartment and posting it publicly. I would go to law enforcement and they would say that it was a scam or it was a game or it was like something that I was engaging in for views or likes. I swear it was not. I swear I never gave anyone permission to come into any of my homes and do any of that weird stuff. Never, not once, ever in my life, ever. It was not a hoax. It was not a scam. And the line between reality of what we're living and reality of what law enforcement and the general public are perceiving becomes very, very skewed. And that's a very dangerous place to exist. Very dangerous. So I started like taking these long breaks from doing any sort of content creation. And, you know, then I would get back into it until it started getting bad again, the harassment, and then I would stop again. When it's your passion to create art, when it's your passion to, you know, curate and produce and direct, and we're living in an evolved world where we have society of live, society of content creators, society of influencer, and you can build your own demographic of an audience or several demographics of an audience. Law enforcement needs to look different. You know, imagine you're like, who's someone famous, you guys? Like, who's the most famous person we can think of? Babe, who's the most famous person you could think of?
Jennifer Aniston.
Okay, say you're Jennifer Aniston, right? Jennifer Aniston, she has like a security team if she goes outside, right? You don't really see Jennifer Aniston like just walking around down the street. Like it's rare. Have you ever seen it?
No.
I've never seen it, you know? And so when you're a regular influencer and you don't have a security team and you're just walking around and there are people who disagree with you, don't appreciate you, like I'm sure Jennifer Aniston has haters and has stalkers and all of that. Well, as micro of an influencer as you think you are, people get weird. Like they start getting weird. And there has to be a way. And I've talked about the evolution of all systems. I've talked about the evolution of systems like the criminal justice system. I've talked about evolution of like systems like Department of Child and Family Services systems. I've talked about evolution of systems like housing and shelter systems. In the world that we're living in, where you can literally be recognized, well-known, famous, but not paid, how do you protect yourself? And once you have that sort of exposure, everyone knows what goes on the internet remains forever. You can pay $1,000,001, right? You can pay $1,000,001. It won't matter. And let me tell you why. Even if someone is paid to handle your SEO, that becomes an ongoing job because they can handle your SEO and make sure that when someone Googles your name, there's only positive results and flattering photos where you look beautiful and gorgeous. But it's only a matter of time until those same haters that hated on you the first time put the old photos back up. How does that happen? Well, when it's removed from the internet, do you guys know what a screenshot is? What's a screenshot? Do you guys know what direct-to-consumer content sales means? So when you're selling content, people are buying it, and the people who aren't buying it are screenshotting it. It never goes away, because now it's not only in your phone and your team's phone, it's in everyone else's phone. And if you ever do video work, there are about 5,000 unflattering angles someone can catch you in. Okay, if you're doing a video, if you're speaking, even in this video, someone can get you like halfway through, you know, and freeze your face. And now they have all these unflattering photos of you. And if they want to, they can distribute those photos online again. So now what you have going on is your SEO is only good as long as someone's working on it, monitoring it, controlling it, or as long as you stay out of the public eye and like disappear yourself. What kind of a life is that? You know, no one needs to, no one should, no one deserves to have to hide in a corner because they made some sort of, you know, photograph that people just didn't like, or made a video, you know, saying hi to someone, or sharing their opinion with some of their followers, or giving a shout out, and it's been, you know, remixed to look like the person is saying something they're not, or doing something they're not, or in a weird position of or a weird facial expression or whatever. So this evolution of live performer, digital creator, influencer is safe if you don't use yourself as the medium. So, newsflash, like if you're taking photos of other people and you're doing it, you know, anonymously or with a ghost name, you can finesse it to where you don't really get a lot of negative publicity because it's not really attached to your legal like identity. But
That's not the kind of creator you are.
I used my face, right, exactly. I used my face and my body and my ideas and my voice, and I continue to do so. And just to clarify, what I mean when I say I used my body and my face is I was the model. I modeled, I curated, I produced. So I would use my own body with tattoos, and my own body with, I'm a 5'9" redheaded woman. Like, it's very difficult to miss me. If you guys don't know, my hair color is one of the rarest that exists. So if I'm walking down the street, especially in high heels, it's very easy to spot me. So I started dyeing my hair, you know, and changing my appearance so that I would not be recognized or attacked or hugged or whatever, because it wasn't all nasty. As a matter of fact, when this first started, the ratio of positive to negative was probably like 50,000 positive comments to maybe 10 negative comments. And it was really well received by my demographic. But it's not just my demographic who's watching anymore. You know, people find out about you and they begin to hurt your feelings or my feelings. And I'm a very sensitive gal. Like, I am not I'm strong physically, and I can lift and grow my muscles really big, and I can get through hardship, and I can blink at the ceiling and make it look like I'm not crying, or put on some big sunglasses and a mean face. But at the end of the day, it hurts my feelings a lot. And whether other people are willing to admit that or not, we're only human until we become numb. And a lot of people are attacked verbally because they become numb. And they're called narcissists, and they're called assholes, and they're called bitch, you know, or all these other nasty words. But the truthfulness of the situation is that unless you become that hardened individual, it hurts a lot to be, you know, speaking openly and vulnerable in front of a camera. And that's not, you know, unique to any one niche. You could be talking about pet supplies. You could be talking about parenting. You could be talking about anything. Being on camera puts you in a vulnerable position and opens you to a world of love and a world of hatred. And as long as they are well balanced, you can do it. Most people can handle it. Not most, some people can handle it. But it has taken me literally multiple physical assaults, numerous smear campaigns, and just verbal assaults, psychological assaults, and several years of not being able to live with my children because I can't ensure our safety. Like, that is crazy. We just finally got into a housing program where I can bring my baby, right? And I can stay inside with my baby or go for walks with my baby and feel safe. That took 5 years of being abused and a whole team of people watching, evaluating, making changes to social media, updating privacy practices, updating rules and terms and legals, 1,000,001 police reports, and nothing is perfect, but what are you going to tell creators, that they're not allowed to be a parent anymore? No, that's obviously not realistic either. So as I transition into the space where I'm bringing my child home, and my husband Xavier and I are still together, and he has protected me from a lot of the verbal, harassment, because guess what they did, you guys? After I erased my business phone number for Merciful Storm, so I don't get any of those hateful comments anymore. They hacked my phone and got Xavier's phone number and his father's phone number, and they started spreading all of this hatred to my family. My dad had to change his phone number. Xavier's phone number is now infiltrated. Xavier's father's receiving these messages. It is so disruptive and hurtful. And so I stopped asking people to stop doing it, and I started focusing on just the evolution of changing your phone number.
Let me get this.
Yeah, please. Thank you so much. Thank you. So that's the focus. As we grow the communities in any sort of public sphere, whether it is a community of 200 and they are talking about like bocce ball club or whatever their club is, we have to be aware, and from a perspective of law enforcement, from a perspective of creator, from a perspective of general public and society, that there are these new threats. In the days when I went to school, we only had to worry about the kids in our class bullying us. Today, our children have to, be aware of the opportunity for thousands of children in thousands of classrooms to bully them or to be kind to them. So the What's Your Impact campaign was the campaign that we launched last week, and I created a TikTok about it, and I circulated that on GoPro Solo. If you're not following the think tank for GoPro Solo, it's public, it's open to the public, you don't have to be approved. If you want to be on my personal page, you have to be approved, my personal blog, and as soon as there's one negative comment, you're blocked on my personal page. On the public page, a GoPro Solo production, comments are limited or turned off entirely, but the DM is open. So for a GoPro Solo production, that's the Instagram page. YouTube only has one page, and it's for GoPro Solo, and my personal blog is strictly on Instagram. My personal blog has been hacked and shut down so many times, and it's very painful. This is where I'm choosing to, keep my life documented, and that's something that's like a gift that I'm creating for my children. I would love to be able to have hours and hours of video and photo and memory of my mom talking about what I did and what her experience was with me to look back on, right now. And that's something that technology allows us to have for our children. So I have a personal blog that's the number 1HG, 1 Heather G, and that's on Instagram. And then you'll have to, apply to follow it. If you don't have photos on your page, or it looks like you have like a very weird page or like some sort of offensive profile photo, I won't approve it. But if you have, what looks to be like a regular mom or like parenting or like friendship or like personal page, I will. And as long as like you're nice, I won't block you. You can disagree with my opinions on stuff, and you're more than welcome to DM me and have intelligent argument with me. I'm more than willing to respond when I have time. And it's like I always tell my children, if you disagree with me, tell me why you disagree and try to convince me of otherwise. Healthy disagreements are allowed in life. They're natural in life. But the GoPro Solo page is open. You don't have to request, the approval to follow. You can just follow. And the purpose of that page is to create campaigns like this, the Impact Campaign, respect, family values, integrity, and kindness, and kind of come together or be inspired. It's a think tank, for these kinds of ideas that we can use to help our children, to help our children's children, to help our friends' children, to help each other. Be inspired to not hurt other people, be inspired to support other people, be inspired to, create content that's not only funny or weird. There's a lot of obnoxious content out there, you guys, like a lot. Like, we have children who are struggling to, have a pair of shoes. Their parents, are going through it financially, and then we have an uneven amount of content where it's kids spending $1,000 on a 15-minute shoot just in supplies to fill a pool up with, Orbeez. Meanwhile, the kids in, my daughter's class maybe have never even had an Orby in their life and are like so excited to get a small pack of Orbeez. So I want us to create content that makes people aware of that difference in socioeconomic class and ability and opportunity and availability, and make our content focused on out to that demographic. Maybe not including them in the actual content creation, because that gets a little weird too, but like making a way for them and making a way to inspire the kids who do have, to be kind about having it and not embarrassed, but not even embarrassed is not the word I'm looking for. It's not that they have to hide that they have it, it's that they're sensitive to those who don't have it. And I think that culture is, it's an overlooked demographic. There aren't that many content creators getting deals who have that as their main focus, or as their main, it's not a niche, as their main like topic. We have a lot of, how many ridiculousness type content creators are there? Look at that platform, World Star. Why do we have that? I am not gonna lie, I have laughed a lot at a lot of that stuff, but I had to stop following it because I had to ask myself, if it was me or one of my children in one of these videos, would I be, most of them, I would be humiliated, Does anyone want to be in one of those videos? Like, probably not, So we're always going to have that because there are assholes in the world. But the kind people, like the content creators who care, like the ones of us who see what this is doing and don't like it, we can't just get off of social media. That would be the worst possible thing that could happen. If those of us who are, valuing things that are not being spoken about or glorified just jump off of social media. Like, I have this newfound interest in going to church regularly to pray, not necessarily attending a church ceremony or sermon. I've gone to 2 in the last month. I like them, but mostly just going into my church, utilizing the space to clear my mind and pray, reading the Bible, trying to become more aware of how the way life was lived in the time of the Bible can be and the lessons can be translated into what we're living today. And so if we can start and campaign for week 4 is denude. That is so against the mainstream right now. Like, if you want to be popular, you have to show cleavage, belly or booty. Like, that's the way it's been since social media came out. Where are the content creators who are willing to say, let's make something else popular, and not even at the expense of calling out the opposition, because they're not really opposition. I don't want to do that. I don't want to make it a war. It's not a war. It's not a war. It's a peaceful, not even protest. It's not a protest. I'm not telling anyone to quit their job selling content if that's what they do. I'm telling more of us who don't agree with it to create opportunity for other ways, because it's like I said before on my last live a few days ago, if you think it's disrespectful to be, singing about these situations, imagine how it feels to feel like it's your only choice for survival, to live these situations. Most, and albeit there are exceptions, most women and men, if they could make the same amount of money with all of their clothes on, streaming content, would do so. I 100% wholeheartedly believe that. If there was another opportunity for content creators, or many other opportunities for content creators, they would take it, So let's, as a community, start or continue. If you've already been doing this, kudos to you. Thank you so much for paving the way for people like me to start having these conversations. But if you have, especially if you have sponsorship, if you have a budget, or if you're just someone who has a budget personally, let's do better at making funnier, engaging, softer content for everyone. And the real hurdle and the most important part of that is creating awareness for what happens or what has happened historically without giving bad guys more ideas. Like, when I talk about the things that have happened to me, it's most certainly not so that they can be repeated on someone else. So I myself am trying to find a way to actually discuss these things without being specific, but being specific enough so that you get the idea that it was actually serious, but so that I'm not giving like the bad guys, more ideas for how to be like awful. You know what I mean? It's a very convoluted set of circumstances. That's why it sounds like this. I'm an excellent speaker when I have a topic and a script. When we're doing like just this think tank freestyle idea, and all of these subjects are very sensitive in nature, you have to be a very responsible speaker. And there's a lot that has to go on in your mind to talk about these, sorts of subjects and subject matter. Like I said, without glorifying, as they put it, the negative things that have happened. But I want to shout out my team, even if you guys are incognito. Thank you to any single person or group who has stood behind me and helped me, protected me in any way, spoken out against, the people who have done really nasty things to me. It means a lot. A whole lot. So thank you very much. Lastly, because of those smear campaigns and the targeted attacks and nastiness that has transpired, a lot of the time I have felt obligated, and I was talking about this with someone yesterday while I was feeding my son. I'm breastfeeding my son and I'm trying to stay calm, but I'm also trying to explain why I feel the need to have 1,000,001 photos. there have been a number of times when who I am in my true identity has been exploited, remixed, altered, or negatively circulated after being remixed. And what I mean by that is they take who I am as a woman and a mother in real life, a fitness professional, a medical professional, a woman, a mother, all these things. And if I'm not doing every one of those things at all times, they begin to circulate nasty rumors that I'm a liar or a catfish or a, what's that word, a fraudulent or a scammer or a plethora of really nasty, unflattering things. And our reputation is what we have. And our reputation affects not only ourselves, but our families, our children, our friends. You know, once it becomes mainstream that you are or are not one of these things, it becomes incredibly difficult and takes a lot of money, time, and effort to prove that you are not. And that is why a lot of the influencers and content creators feel this enormous pressure to always be going live, to always be in their niche, to always be doing the thing that they're supposed to be, or, you know, known for doing. Do you guys understand that there are 24 hours in a day? So I can do 50 sit-ups right now and still not be claiming that I'm back into weightlifting, and also not be lying and saying that I have a fitness background, that I've worked as a personal trainer, that I am strong, that I can lift a heavy amount. You know, I shouldn't have to sit down and say, well, yes, I can lift a heavy amount, but what's going on right now is that I'm generating a lot of breast milk, and it's really important to me that he's nursed, but you know, he's not exclusively nursed because, and then I have to worry about the mom group saying, well, she's not, you know, saying enough about breastfeeding, and the fitness group saying, well, she's not really a fitness professional anymore because she doesn't want to lift heavy. And then I have to say, because it produces testosterone. And then the scientists are like, well, in some cases, you know, and then you have all of this opinion. And that is why a lot of the content creators are like feeling so stuck in their niche, because it is unforgiving to just be who you are. So keep being who you are, but you have to be strong enough to do it, you know? And so that is what I mean when I say the evolution of the live culture and content creators and social media and all of these things. We have got to evolve our systems in the world that most of you have no experience with, because the technology that we have is conflicting with those systems. We have to evolve them. All right, you guys, so that's the think tank for today. I'm going to jump off and do 50 or however many girl push-ups that I can get through, and some sit-ups. I'm not really doing heavy lifting, and I'm doing a lot of walking. We're walking like 5 miles on average 3 times a week. On average, 15 miles a week, spread over however many days in the week there are, 7 days. Oh my gosh, that sounded so dumb. All right, you guys, have a great day. And thank you for coming. And I hope that this has inspired some sort of amazing content in you.